Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree if you are new here, and in today's video I just want to talk about skincare. I just want to talk about the skincare products that I use, how I feel about them, how I use them, all that good stuff. So if you guys want to hang out and chat about some skincare, then just keep on watching. I'm realizing now, like as I'm looking at my content calendar, that this thing is going to be the proof of how out of order that I film. Not that it matters, like, at all, and I don't know why I feel the need to explain that, but this thing's gonna be on my chest for the next 2 weeks, so it's just monitoring my heart rate. I will link my Shop My Stash video in which I kind of talk about what happened and how I ended up with this thing, but it's here. It's here to stay for the next little bit. But as I was like looking at my thing, I was like, oh, like I've already filmed that video, and now it's just proof of just like how backwards and out of order I'm filming everything. Whatever. It is what it is. I got a heart rate monitor on. Quick little backstory to kind of give you guys an idea, a basis of what my skin is like and how I got my skin to be where it is right now. So I have always had normal to dry skin, pretty much for as long as I can remember. When I was in my teens, I got on birth control. And even before that though, when I was in my teens, like I always had decent skin. Like I would have really small breakouts, but nothing super crazy major, but just like, you know, normal teenage acne, but like very good skin, like comparatively, you know. I got on birth control. That continued to make my skin very good. Honestly. Like it was very normal to dry, like no breakouts or really anything like that. Just very minor, like under the skin, a couple blackheads, but just like normal shit, right? In like 2015 or 16 or so, I was still on birth control, but my skin was starting to get drier and drier. And this was also around the time that I was really getting into makeup, and I was wearing it a lot more often. So I have a feeling that, you know, probably maybe I was just like overwashing my skin and overworking my skin and doing stuff that it wasn't used to. So I started to get into skincare, and I started to do light stuff like, you know, oils and stuff like that. And I, you know, got my skin back to a normal place. It's still normal to dry, and definitely leans a lot more dry in the winter time, but it got a lot better. Like my dry patches and stuff like that went away in 2019. I think it was actually the very beginning of 2019, I decided to get off of birth control for a whole host of reasons. My skin was not one of those reasons, and if there was any reason to get back on birth control, my skin for the longest time would have actually been at the top of that list. When I got off birth control, I was 27, 28, something like that. I had the skin of a prepubescent 14-year-old. It was bad. Like it was really bad. And by this point, like even before I had gotten off of birth control, I had developed a pretty good routine. I was using a lot of like AHAs, BHAs, stuff like that, because I was really trying to prevent wrinkles on my skin. I was on the anti-aging process. I was not on the anti-acne process. I was on the anti-aging process when I got off birth control and my skin got bad. I continued a lot of that because I knew that a lot of that would also be really good for acne treatment. Hormonal acne is its own bitch. So, and my hormones being out of whack after being on birth control for like 12 or 13 years, there was really no helping that. Right around the time that COVID started, so it would have been 2020, so it would have been about a year later, my skin was really bad. Honestly, it was probably at its worst that it had ever been. But in March of 2020, we actually, my husband and I thought that he had COVID, and a doctor was like, you guys need to quarantine. Like we were quarantined before the shutdown happened. Like we were quarantined as the shutdown happened, basically to kind of put the timeline into perspective. And so we didn't go anywhere for 2 weeks, obviously, because that was back when it was like hard set 2 weeks, don't go out kind of thing. And come to find, we didn't have COVID. He did not have COVID regardless. In those 2 weeks though, and in the months that came after that, because basically we came back and then we were immediately put on like partial unemployment because business was just not businessing, obviously. So my sleep schedule was all over the place. His sleep schedule was all over the place. But in doing a lot of that, like, I wasn't wearing makeup nearly as much. It took me a while to get into the habit of like filming content again and stuff like that, which is funny because that's actually the year that I started my YouTube channel. But regardless, I'm just giving a brief backstory here. When COVID happened, my brain stopped doing skincare. Like, because I had such a regimen in my head of like, get off work, take a shower, wash your face, get out of the shower, do your skincare. And I wasn't getting off work because there was no work to go to. So even on the days that I did do my makeup, like to film content or just for fucking shits and giggles because I was bored out of my mind, it just, for some reason, it unclicked in my brain. And when I realized it, there was a part of me that said, maybe this is good. Maybe, you know, I was using too strong of actives. Maybe I was doing too much, and maybe pulling back and just like doing the bare minimum of like washing my face and moisturizing. Maybe I can kind of help start to bring my skin back to normal, right? That was absolutely not the case. I mean, my dryness and stuff like that started to go away, but like my acne was still very much I almost said pregnant, very much present. And I can also say that wearing a mask did not help whatsoever. I mean, I support it, and it absolutely helped me not get COVID for 2.5 years. But the acne situation and the mask, not a fan. Didn't work together, not at all. This thing is so itchy. My apologies if you catch me scratching around it. It's so itchy. I want to say it was around probably like early fall of 2020, somewhere around there, maybe end of summer, early fall, something like that. I decided to start to slowly integrate things back into my skincare routine to help myself just get back into it. And the thing is that in the mornings, I always have the same routine. I get up, I brush my teeth, I, splash some cold water on my face. And I always did, like, I never had a problem doing the morning skincare. It was always the nighttime skincare that I have, I lost the executive function to, like, do. Still haven't gotten it back through, 2.5 years later, by the way. After years and years and years, and by that I mean, 2.5 years, of slowly integrating things back into my routine and trying my ass off to force myself to do skincare at night, anything more than washing my face and not even moisturizing. I'm gonna be so completely honest with you. After realizing that wasn't happening, and I was literally letting good skincare die on my shelf because I could not be fucking bothered to do it at night, I decided to completely revamp my morning skincare routine, and I basically have chucked everything to the morning, and I have one little thing at night that I am trying to get in the habit of doing so that I can do it, I feel like if I can get myself in the habit of doing this one thing at night, then I can slowly start integrating things into my nighttime routine that are far better suited to be at night. You'll see what I mean in a little bit when I explain everything. As I'm talking, I'm realizing I grabbed none of my nighttime skincare stuff, so I need to go grab all of that. I figured this could be a fun video where I kind of show you everything that I use. I kind of talk through how I use it, and what I have felt that it has done for my skin, because now granted, a big part of it has been time. It's been over 3 years since I got off birth control, but my skin is far better than it ever once was. Obviously, I have foundation on right now. I can include a clip right here of the beginning of another video where I'm probably the beginning of the video that I filmed before this, but I can include a clip where I am not wearing any makeup and you guys can see I do have some acne scarring left over. I have a connective tissue disorder. It makes me very prone to scarring. It's kind of just is what it is. I deal with it. I've been able to lighten up some of that hyperpigmentation though. I do still have hormonal breakouts, kind of depending on the month. Weirdly enough, this past month was really bad for hormonal breakouts, but the month before that, my skin was fine. So it kind of just comes and goes. I have a running theory that it depends on which ovary releases the egg. Let me go grab my nighttime skincare because that's absolutely still relevant to this video. I'll be right back. Okay, so as ass backwards as this is probably going to seem, I'm going to start with my nighttime skincare just because there's so little of it. And I'm going to kind of show you guys what I do. So on a normal day, well, literally it would even be the days that I'm off because I still film on those days, which means I'm still putting on makeup. But on a normal day when I can shower without interrupting this fucking bitch, I take a shower. And this first thing's kind of gross because I have the little spatula sitting on top of it, so we're gonna ignore that. But I start out with a cleansing balm. I go back and forth between cleansing balms and cleansing oils. This is by far one of the best products that I have ever used to remove my makeup. This is the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Makeup Melting Cleansing Balm. It's super cheap. It's like $10 for this. You get, I think I've done the math once, you could get like 2.5 of these for the same, 2.5 to 3 of these for the same price as one Clinique cleansing balm, and you get like 3 or like 2 or 3 times the product. So a way better buy. It works beautifully. I love that it comes with a little spatula. Again, my apologies that this is super gross, but this is hands down my favorite thing. So I'll rub this all over my skin, break down as much of the makeup as I can, and then once I rinse it off, this is actually relatively new to my collection. I mean, I'm about halfway. Oh, you can kind of see through it. That's nice. I'm about halfway through it. But for the longest time, I used the CeraVe Hydrating Face Wash. That shit has gotten so expensive. And while I will admit that this is probably actually breaking down to be more expensive, this is so much better. This is the e.l.f. Skin Pure Skin Cleanser. So it has oat milk. I feel like that word is partially peeled off because of this. I don't know what that one is. Allantoin? Whatever. It might be partially peeled off. And niacinamide. My thing with the CeraVe face wash is, now granted I always double cleanse, but my thing with the CeraVe face wash is it never completely cleaned my skin. Like, I would always have to get out of the shower and use a micellar water, use something else to finish removing the rest of my eye makeup. Like, I forgive the edge of my face if I'm like trying to not get my hair wet kind of thing, but like I was having to like scrub around my nose and stuff like that. Like the CeraVe never did the job as well as it should have. This does so fucking good. It's a very similar texture. It's not, it doesn't foam up or anything like that. But it is just, it's so good. It's just such a good face wash. And it's not crazy expensive by any stretch of the imagination. You get like 6 ounces with it. But it's just, it's really good. It's by far one of the best face washes I have personally ever used. And then when I get out of the shower, sometimes a little waterproof mascara hangs around. Again, the edge of my face, if, you know, I'm not washing my hair and stuff like that. So I use the blue capped Garnier micellar water. So this is the one for waterproof makeup. It has the oil in it that you got to shake it up so that you can kind of mix it all together. And then you use it. I always use it with a reusable cotton round as well, but this just gets off everything else. Does a fantastic job. I'm gonna go put this stuff away really quick because it's 2 of these things are hanging out in my shower, and so they're not the cleanest, but I'll be right back. And then once I've used my micellar water, this is the thing that I am trying to get myself in the habit of using. I'm gonna be so completely honest with you. I don't know if this does anything at all. I bought it because it looked nice, and it does feel nice on the skin. And it's a little bit hydrating, and it feels good, and it's not like an overwhelming thing that I have to like work on using. Honestly, I typically just use the exact same, I'll flip over the cotton round that I used for my micellar water. I'll put some of this on there and then go from there. But this is the Pacifica Vegan Collagen Hydrating Milk Tonic. It says it has orange flower, it's alcohol free, it's for all skin types. It's like a hydrating milk toner. It's kind of nice because it has one of those things that you like press down on it and it shoots up. Fair warning, the product itself does not look appropriate when dispensed, just saying. It does feel really nice on my skin. I do enjoy it. Again, I don't know that it does anything. I like that it's in a nice glass packaging. I just don't know that it does much of anything, but it is my trying to get myself in the habit of doing something besides just cleansing my skin at night. It's going about as well as you would expect it to. I'm lucky if I remember to do it. basically. But I'm working on it and I'm trying really hard to remember to do it. So there's that. Maybe I need to put it down next to my micellar water so that I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, that, rather than like up on the shelf that I have that's on the wall. I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. And then last but not least, I actually need to like smell this to see. Oh, you need to go. I'm gonna declutter this actually, and I'm gonna get rid of this, but I do want to talk about it and recommend it because I do really like it, and this was what saved my skin when it was at its driest. This is the CeraVe Skin Renewing Night Cream. So this is a very, 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 very thick, very heavy moisturizer, but it does such a beautiful job at just getting deep into your skin and really bringing that moisture back into the skin. I love it so much. I've just had this for a really long time and I haven't needed to use it recently, so it just kind of sat there. So it smells off. So I'm gonna declutter it, but I do recommend it. Like highly, highly, highly recommend it. All right, so we've reached the mornings. We've done all of that the night before. We've woken up. It's the next day. If I take a deep breath, I can feel it like pulling. Like my skin wants to stretch farther than the adhesive wants to. Okay, so in the morning, I don't wash my face. I even like on the days where I've used like the CeraVe the night before, my skin has always been dry enough and like normal to dry enough that I've never felt the need to like really wash my skin like with a soap kind of thing, like a face wash. So usually what I'll do is I will just run the fucking sink cold, little refreshing cold water in the morning, and I'll just splash water on my face and pat my face dry. It takes off whatever was left over the night before without like stripping my skin. And then I will go in with whatever active of the day it is. So I have it broken down kind of weird, and I'll explain it. I'm going to start with, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain. But I'm going to start with my Mondays and my Fridays. Yeah. No, excuse me. I'm going to start with my Sundays. Because my Sundays are my day that I have to be to work really early. So for the longest time I did nothing, and then I was like, I can spare 30 seconds. Like I have 30 seconds. It'll be fine. So on Sundays and Thursdays, I use the Good Molecules Glycolic Exfoliating Toner. So this has, I want to say, it's on the box, which I don't have anymore, obviously. I want to say this has like 3% glycolic acid. For the longest time, I was using the ordinary one that's like 7%, and that shit was spicy. I don't know that I want to build myself back up to that, to be honest with you. Like, I think I'm actually kind of really pleased with the efficacy of this one. I don't know that I need to go any spicier. I could be wrong about the percentage, by the way. It's on Google. You can Google it, or I'll put it up on the screen, maybe, depending on how editing Bree is feeling. This is, it's glass bottle, so there is no squeeze. That is one thing that sucks. You have to like salt and pepper shake it out onto your like cotton round or whatever you're using to apply it. And it's just got a little hole up in the top, but it's just a liquid. Like, it doesn't require much effort. I literally just put it on a cotton round and just swipe it across my skin, let it dry, move on with my day. It takes maybe a minute. But glycolic acid, AHAs, are really good for helping skin cell turnover and stuff like that. So it's good for acne, it's good for anti-aging, stuff like that. I really, really like this. I've always liked AHAs and BHAs and stuff like that, so I like it. So on Sundays, yes, this is all I use, and then I do my other, I'll get into like the everyday shit in a minute, but on Monday, so that's Sunday and Tuesday. I recently restructured it, so the days are a little bit weird on a couple of them, but that is on Sundays and Tuesdays. I just put on a little AHA and move on. Preferably AHA is one of the ones that I would like to have at night. That's probably going to be the next thing that I'm going to work towards. Like, basically, I feel like my plan is once I finish this, which is, it's the same application process. Once I finish this, I can move on to that being at night, like just kind of replace it. I just got to get in the habit of using this. So ideally, I would like to not have to do that on Sundays and Tuesday mornings, but for right now, Sundays and Tuesday mornings, I apply my AHA. And then on Mondays and Fridays, this is so goofy to say out loud, but I figured it might be interesting. I don't know, maybe someone wanted to know what my skincare routine was. Who knows? But first of all, I use a 2% BHA, so a 2% salicylic acid. I have gone back and forth over a ton of them. I like the Paula's Choice one, don't get me wrong, it's just really expensive. That's it. It's just expensive. I've used a couple other ones in the meantime. There was a Pacifica one that I really liked. There was a Revolution Skincare one that I also really liked. They're all very, very, very similar. Unfortunately, I believe that those two were discontinued, so I decided to give this one a try, which is the Peach Slices Acne Exfoliating Toner. So this is a 2% salicylic acid. And that's like quite literally all that it is. Apparently this also has a little bit of AHA in it, so apparently I'm getting quite a bit of AHA, but it's interesting because it just says active ingredient salicylic acid. So yeah. Oh, there is glycolic acid in there. It's just pretty low in the ingredients list, so I don't know what the percentage is. It's probably very minimal. It's very nice. It's done really awesome things actually for my skin. I've always loved a salicylic acid. For a while I actually used the you can get them at like Target or some shit. They're like the pads. Very strong. They're very strongly scented. I couldn't do it anymore. I don't even remember the name of them. But they're like the pads, and they're like the thing that like is advertised to like teens and shit. I was using that for the longest time. But once I'm done with that and I've let that dry on my skin like a minute later, I will go in with the Good Molecules Niacinamide Brightening Toner. This has been a game changer for my hyperpigmentation and like my acne scarring. For a long time I used salicylic acid and then vitamin C. I have not been able to find a vitamin C that I have enjoyed applying. They've either pilled on my skin, they've been like really tight or sticky or just icky feeling or super oily. I've never been able to find a vitamin C that I enjoyed. And even the ones that, like, I would still like force myself to use the product all the way through. And even then, like, I never felt like I saw enough of a difference in the same way that I've seen with the Niacinamide Brightening Toner from Good Molecules. This is just so good. It says formulated to brighten and improve appearance of enlarged pores. I also know that it does really good things for brightening up the skin and like helping with the hyperpigmentation and stuff like that. So I use that. Ideally, I would love to use the salicylic acid and the brightening toner more often throughout the week. And that's kind of my plan, is as I can move things to the night, I will be able to actually like use the other two more often in the morning. Okay, so this next one is going to be the one that's probably going to be controversial, but if we're going in the order of days of the week, we're on Wednesday now. So on Wednesday, I start out with my AHA. This is the only day that I do double with the AHA, but I start out with the AHA. And then I use the Good Molecules Gentle Retinol Cream. Listen, I get it. I get that retinol loses some of its efficacy when it hits the sun. I get that. All of this actually, but I get that retinol in particular, like, you're really supposed to use an SPF, you're really supposed to use it at night, this and that. I really want to use a retinol. I really, really, really wanted to use a retinol, but I could not bring myself to do it at night. So I did some research, I did some studying, and I made the decision for myself that I would rather get some of its efficacy in the morning than none of it at all. So that's that. And I can say that I have noticed my skin purge, like, since I started reusing retinol and started using it in the morning. So like, I'm still getting something out of it. Like, it's not just doing fucking nothing. But I do really, really like this one. It's very gentle. I have noticed again some of that purging that you get with retinol, but I haven't noticed it drying out my skin or anything like that. This is a very, very hydrating retinol, which I do really appreciate. I also put on other stuff after this. So big fan, really, really big fan of this. So I use this with the AHAs on Wednesdays, and then on Thursdays and Saturdays I use this by itself. This is the only one, like, of the morning routines, this is the one that I have to really plan around, which is kind of why I restructured, because I have a different day off on the week now. Regardless, this is the one that I do have to plan around because I do give it some time to sink into my skin because it's moisturizer texture. It's a moisturizer effectively with retinol in it. So I have to give it a decent amount of time to sink into my skin before I can put anything else on, or else everything just kind of falls apart. I've tried it didn't work. So that is a thing, but honestly, like, I can get up in the morning, do my skincare, and then like do some other stuff before I put on my SPF and move on. Now that I've finished out the rest of my week, but I would highly recommend this. It's not the strongest retinol. I actually don't remember what percentage it has. Again, that's on the box, not on here. I could see myself eventually one day moving up, but I really like the texture of this and the way that it sinks into my skin and the way that it works with my skin. So like at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, do I really need to like move on to something else? But yeah, so we've had the part of the morning where I've done my actives, right? And then immediately after I do that, like before I do anything else, immediately before I do that, I use some version of Grande. So whether it's Grande Lash, Grande Brow, doesn't matter. They're both the same. I've looked it up. They're identical. Literally the only thing that's different is the brush inside of it. But I use this on my brows in the morning. I do have Trick. It's Trichotillomania. I pull at the skin on my lashes and my brows. I don't really give a flying fuck about my lashes, to be honest with you, because I always have liner on and, you know, false lashes and stuff like that. But and it also just doesn't bother me the same way that the brows do. So I like to use this. It helps when I'm not picking and pulling. And it also kind of helps me rebound a little bit quicker when I am pulling. So it's been a great product for me. I know that it's like a once you start it, you can't stop it kind of thing. So I'm riding with it for life. Typically around Christmas time though, they'll sell these like gift sets and like value packs that will have a couple of these like travel sizes and a couple full size ones for like a really decent price. So I'll usually stock up and buy a couple of those, and then it'll hold me through most of the year. I also think last year Amazon had it on their Prime Day too, so I was able to like get a couple full sizes for like a good price. Anyways, and then immediately after that, I will go in with some version of an eye cream. I really like this eye cream. I just fucking hate eye creams in a pot, to be honest with you. I don't like things in pots in general. As you can see by the CeraVe one, like it starts to smell off after a while because you're putting your finger directly into it. At least with this, it's a really small container. I mean, granted, I'm not using nearly as much as I would with like the CeraVe. This is the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Eye Cream with hyaluronic acid and peptides in it. I do really, really, really like this product, don't get me wrong. Again, my only thing is that I just don't like it, the fact that it's in a pot. If it was in a little squeezy tube, I would to die for. Myself personally, I don't find a reason to buy something that's specifically titled an eye cream. Like, I'm perfectly fine with using like just a regular day-to-day moisturizer underneath my eyes. It has the same effect. I had finished my other one that I really, really loved. It was discontinued, unfortunately. So I had to look for something else, and I bought two things at the same time, which I'll talk about the other one in just one second. And this was the other one that I decided to give a shot, and this is the one that I've been using, and I do enjoy it. And the other thing that I picked up is the e.l.f. Skin Pure Skin Moisturizer. So this has oat milk, ceramides, and niacinamide in it. I don't love this. Not nearly as much. I honestly can't say that I've tried it as like an all over face moisturizer. I need to see how I feel about that. I don't love it as an eye cream. It sinks in too quickly. Like, it's not moisturizing enough. That's my thing. But I don't have like fully formed opinions on this because I haven't used it enough. And then typically what I'll do is I'll go fuck off for a little bit, do something to get ready for the morning. And then I will come back and I will put on my SPF. So before I put on my SPF, I always take a spray and I will spray down my face. It doesn't have to always be this one. I do really like this one, but just a spray, honestly. But this is the Hempz CBD 120 milligram Refresh Me Hydrating Facial Toner and Refresher. So I like to just spray like a little bit of like the facial toner onto my skin. It's a holdout from an old SPF that I had that had hyaluronic acid in it, and if you didn't put moisture underneath it, it would pill up. And I just started doing it, and the habit stayed, and I really like the way that it makes my skin feel. So I always spray it on my face, and then I have two SPFs now. One of them I'm not going to talk about too much because I'm still kind of in the testing phase. I talked about it in my haul. But my ride or die holy grail is still the NYX Bear With Me Sunscreen Daily Moisturizing Primer SPF 30. I love this so much. It's perfect. You get a ton of product in here, 2.5 ounces. I think it's like $16 or something like that. But it sinks into my skin really nicely. It leaves like a nice hydrated glow behind. It doesn't have a white cast at all. And it's just perfect. Like 2 pumps of this is perfect, the perfect amount for me. And I love it. And it's perfect. And then last but not least, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the e.l.f. Sun Touchable Whoa Glow 30 SPF 30 sunscreen. I'm going to reserve a lot of my discussions about this because I am going to film a speed reviews for my haul soon, and I'll talk about this more at length there. Originally I was not the biggest fan of this because it's a little bit finicky to work with in the way that it can kind of pill up. It sinks into the skin very, very, very quickly. I both love and hate that for different reasons. On a day-to-day, I would much rather use the one that's a little bit more hydrating on my skin, that feels a little bit better. I like the way that it makes my skin look. Don't get me wrong, I like the way this one makes my skin look too with that glow, because I'm pretty sure it just outright has mica in it. Why would the ingredients be on the package? My current favorite way to use this is, first of all, on Sundays, because it does sink into my skin very quickly, and so I can put this on and then basically almost immediately, like I can put this on, get dressed for work, and then basically immediately go put on makeup, and I'm not having to wait for my SPF to sink in. But I also really like using this on my retinol days. Because the retinol is already so moisturizing, I can get away with using the SPF that's less moisturizing. I have found that those two play very, very, very nicely together. Whereas the NYX one with the Good Molecules retinol can be like overly too moisturizing, and so I have to like really counteract it with like a matte primer and like good setting powders and stuff like that to really lock my skin in, or else it'll kind of start to break down. But I have been really enjoying this on my retinol days, but again, I'm going to save the rest of my opinions on it for my speed reviews that will be coming soon. And that's my skincare. So basically, kind of just to finish up my morning, I'll put on my SPF, and then I'll come in here to do my makeup. And I always do my eyes first because it gives my SPF a good amount of time to really sink into my skin, and then I'll finish my makeup. I hope this video was interesting. It's all over the place. My goal is like maybe sometime about this time next year to film another one of these, but actually basically be able to be like, this is my morning, this is my nights, that's that, and not have this like, oh, I do this on Sundays and this on Tuesdays, and like none of that. Like I would like to have it just be like the same in the morning, the same at night, ideally the BHA and the niacinamide in the morning, and then the AHA and the retinol at night. I would love to get my skin comfortable enough that I can do it every single day. That would be delightful. At this point, that definitely won't happen. Like even once I get the AHA and the retinol to the nighttime, it's probably going to be on like an every other night thing until I can really work my skin up to it. But like ideally, I would like to maybe within like the next year get myself to that point. Hopefully. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen though, because it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up today's video. Comment down below and tell me what your favorite skincare product is. I would love to know. Please subscribe if you have not already. It would mean the world to me. Like this video, ring the bell, do all the things. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!